Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you are. I've got the room filling up a little bit. We'll just give it a few more minutes and then we'll get stuck into a super exciting session today. Got Philip Saloom here, if you can see him on the screen. And
Hi, guys.
we will be entertaining you with all things trading. So just for the sake of being punctual and staying on time, we will get stuck into this session. So Philip, welcome to the webinar. Good to have
Thanks.
you on board and catch up. It's been a while between events.
Yeah, it has been.
It has been. I look forward to checking in about your holiday, but before we do that, I've got a bit excited because I want to hear more. We just got to go through the disclaimer. Basically, information in this is of a general nature only, so we are not taking into consideration your personal circumstances, and so if you do want to act on any of this, please seek professional advice. We do trade in leverage, FX, CFDs, indices, the cable, all that great stuff. And with that becomes a significant level of risk. So you should be aware of that if you do go ahead and start things. I'm just going to hand the hosting over to Philip, and that way he can share his screen when we get to those questions. There you go,
Thank
Philip.
you. Thanks, Julian.
The host now. All right, well, let's get started. Philip, I'm sure everyone wants to learn a little bit more about you. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in the last couple of weeks. We had a brief chat about your holiday.
Yeah, correct. So I just went over to Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite the experience, to be honest, especially coming from a Forex trader. So as a place, as a city, I found it to be very entrepreneurial. As a city, there's a lot of crypto millionaires there. There's a lot of FX traders. Billboards on the highways, funny enough, a lot of them were FX related, which I found super cool. So it's something that, yeah, any trader, I believe, should visit it at least once, because I felt like it was home as a trader.
Great.
Yeah.
And so did you meet many traders? Was it more pleasure? What was the?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a holiday, but because we have students from all over the world. So I went there with my partner, Vian. For those who don't know, she's also a trader, and we both had students from there. So we got to meet up with them, make new friends, which was a really good experience. We got to go out with them and experience their lifestyle. And most of them are, expats living in Dubai, working there. And it was an awesome experience to just experience different cultures, meet people from all over the world. Met a few crypto millionaires who got in nice and early back in 2010, 2011. That was quite exciting, hearing their stories and journeys and how they're living there now. And
do they have a favorite? Are they all on oil or gold, or was there?
Gold's definitely a big favorite over there. Every billboard you will see is trade gold.
Wow.
Trade XAU. And I guess because them as a culture, they love to wear gold, especially the women.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing over there. In terms of crypto, everyone I spoke to just usually talked about Bitcoin mainly, because I think that's what the majority of them got a lot of their profits from, because they invested in the main, in the big guy, which was Bitcoin back in 2010 to 2009.
That's great. That's great. And so quickly, because I know a lot of people would be wanting to hear about your trading. What was your highlight when you were over there?
Highlight is, I would say, the activities. You can do anything you feel like, in terms, like I zip lined from one building to another, which I think you saw.
Yeah.
And it's something that, it was once in a lifetime experience. You don't get to do that anywhere in the world. Activities are just the highlights. You can do anything from go into the safari on the buggies, zip line between buildings, jet skiing on their harbor with all the buildings and the Burj Khalifa and everything. So it's just awesome experiences.
Yeah, I've heard you can also go skiing there. Did you?
Ski, that we did see that. That was inside the shopping mall, funny enough. And
nice.
they got an ice skating ring inside the shopping mall too.
Yeah, just not the place you'd expect that sort of stuff, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah. So Philip, tell us a little bit about when you knew you were going to be a trader. People love to hear a story, I guess.
The come up of the trading. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I used to work in a hospital. So I was in radiology. I used to do the CT scans, X-rays, studied for that, worked in a hospital. And I used to work night shifts. So I used to sit from, the shift used to go from 12 a.m. until 8 a.m. And a lot of the times during that shift, there used to be just dead hours where you do nothing. And I started looking into, I was into crypto prior. And I had made a lot of money. A lot of people have heard my story. I've spoken on a few podcasts where I've made nearly $500,000 from crypto. However, I lost it all. And it wasn't really a loss. It was more just unrealized profits that I never took, because I had this idea in my head that this thing is just going to keep going. I did not understand highs, lows, greed, fear. I had no idea about anything to do with trading. So pretty much I had these unrealized profits, didn't bank them, got greedy. And at that time, I didn't understand the concept of greed in trading. Very soon after that, I was pretty much below what I initially invested. And that was quite a hit, you could say, on a 23-year-old, 24-year-old.
That stuff is gut wrenching, hey. Like I've done something similar in equities, and it's just crazy. You got to have some rules to get out. Like
100%, and
yeah.
that's what got me into trading. And then a friend of mine was trading FX at the time, and he's like, "Look into it." So I sat on those night shifts, flicking through. I was looking like Baby Pips, YouTube, and I learned. What at the time I thought I was learning these amazing styles of trading like RSI and divergences. I started applying it. Some worked, some didn't. And very soon after that, I kind of just fell in love with what I was doing. I fell in love with the freedom it came with, being able to do it from anywhere in the world. And I know that there's a lot of people that can agree with me. That's the reason they get into trading, is purely that freedom that they can have. Such as going overseas like I did, hitting a trade while sitting on the beach. As long as I had my phone, internet, I could do that. So that was really the come up of me as a trader.
So did you left the radiology? And
so I waited. I didn't leave it straight away. And that's something I actually tell students of mine is, a lot of people ask me, that's their first question, is how long till I can do this full time? And I say trading is something that's very psychological. It can, if you don't have another source of income, it can be quite tough, because if you're relying on paying your bills with trading and you're a new trader, you're almost certain that you're going to fumble what you're doing, because your psychology, your mindset is going to be so set on making money rather than actually seeing this as a long-term game. And usually they're the people that call FX a scam, because they go in with these unrealistic kind of expectations, doesn't work out for them, and they say, oh, FX is a scam. When in reality, it's not. They're just looking at it from the wrong perspective. So I waited a good few years until I even considered going part-time. And then from there, I just started decreasing my hours slowly. Eventually, I went full-time.
Fantastic. So along the way, I'm sure you would have had some pretty good trading scars. Tell us about one of the deepest ones. I'm hoping we've already touched on it, but
this was a scar. It was definitely a scar. So this is something I'll never forget. It was GBP AUD. It was a summer's afternoon, and I think I had 20 lots on it in shorts. It was around that figure, because the drawdown was just moving insanely quick. And I aimed to have a $3,000 stop loss on the trade. And I thought I was a good trader back then. That was like 4 years ago. I thought I was a good trader. And now I look back and I'm like, no, I definitely wasn't for doing this. So what I did is I made the number one mistake that I believe anyone has done, is I moved my stop. And I didn't only move it, I kind of just got rid of it completely. And I said, I need to kind of make this money back. I don't want to end this in a loss. So the thing kept creeping higher. Nerves kick in. I'm looking at a 30K drawdown now. And I'm just like, I'm now faced with two scenarios: close it, accept the loss, or just keep it going and potentially blow the account. Now that was the first part of pain, you could say. The second part of the pain was I decided to close the 30K in drawdown, and the thing reversed almost instantly from the moment I closed it. So I learned two big lessons that day. Don't move your stop, and anything can happen in the markets at any time.
That's true. That's true. Good advice. Good advice. Good advice.
Yeah.
So technology obviously plays a big part in what we do now. It's getting better and better. Coding, all these apps, everything. How does that sort of play in how you trade? What sort of tech are you using?
As my proper setup, I have 3 screens, and by saying that, more screens does not mean a better trader. By all means, everyone thinks more screens means better trader. It doesn't. All the screens are really for is because I like having my platform, which is the MT4, on one screen. I like having my trading view where I'm analyzing the charts on another. And I like to just have anything else on that third screen, whether it's music that I'm kind of listening to while I'm trading, or if I'm just doing any work, especially because I have my students as well. So I just have 3 screens. In saying that, you can just, when I'm traveling, it can be just as simple as a laptop.
And what about to assist you in like scanning, setups, custom indicators? Is there anything, without giving away your secret sauce, that?
Yeah, definitely. So a volume is one thing I rely on a lot.
Mhm.
So use the volume indicators.
Yep.
These are all found on TradingView. For those that don't know, it's a website that pretty much lets you chart up and analyze anything you like, whether it's stocks, cryptos, FX, anything you can pretty much think of. Yeah, so use their volume indicators.
So tell me about that, because obviously in the FX markets it's decentralized. How does the volume indicators you use work?
So in terms of trying to understand where volume lies, so also for those that don't know how the FX market moves, is it's just a bunch of orders. That's as simple as I can put it. It's just buys and sells, and people are constantly trying to exchange these contracts from one another. Now, volume tells me, and it's almost like looking at a brick wall or a tug of war. If there is volume in a certain area, you're going to expect one certain group, whether it's the buyers or the sellers, to have a stronger push within that zone. So
do you have an example? Just to, obviously, I'm a visual person.
Let's pull
I'd
it
hate
up.
to put you on the spot, but that's
no. Let's pull it up.
Yeah.
So perfect example here is I have my volume, and this is a high volume area right there. So you can see from that histogram right there that that's a high volume zone. There was a lot of orders within it. And that was actually one of the trades I just took with my students and myself. If you look to the right, it became an area of resistance when the price came and touched back into it. So
Fantastic.
This is like, as simply as I can put it, that's a prime example of how volume works in the markets.
So when you say there's a lot of volume there, is that looking back historically at what was traded in that zone?
Correct. So that was yesterday. So that was yesterday's session. I'm looking at where these spikes in volume are. So as you can see, there's a big spike down here, which would make sense as this is you could say like a support or demand kind of area. You've got one here and you've got one up here. So to me, these are prime zones of, where the price is going to either bounce or reject.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. That's pretty nifty. So is that just a standard tool on TradingView, is it?
Yeah, just the standard tool. It's for free. Anyone can get their hands on it. Okay,
cool. So do you, I hear a lot of people, I do it myself. Do you journal a lot? What does that process look like after you take a trade?
Definitely. So there's multiple ways of actually journaling. There's automated journaling where you can hook up your account to a tool like MyFXBook, FXBlue, where there's these programs that are automatically linking your account to them, getting all your data, extracting it, placing a chart, literally breaking down everything for you in terms of what you caught, how many pips, your stops, the whole lot. However, for me, true journaling comes down to you actually writing down about the trade. So I'm talking writing down your emotions through the trade. Were you scared? If you were scared, why were you scared? Were you risking more than you should have? because this will pretty much break down for you what you're doing incorrectly in order to fix it. The number one thing traders need to understand is if they're not self-reflecting and if they're avoiding it, there is no chance for improvement. So journaling is a massive aspect that got me to where I am, because I started to understand my weaknesses, my strengths, and I started improving upon them.
Yeah, I think that's something I hear from traders. It's focusing on what you do well, but also reducing what you do badly. And I think that obviously we never want to focus on the negatives, but that reducing what you do badly is I think what really defines those truly great, huge seven-figure traders from the rest of the group.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What about, mate? A bit of bling. You've obviously hit a few big wins. What's your favorite possession?
Watches.
Watches.
I love watches. So I actually buy and sell watches. It's a little hobby of mine too. I see them as physical assets that you can actually trade. They don't go down in value. They hold their worth. I just love watches. Cars are just depreciating assets. I don't see much to gain in them. They are nice. They're cool to drive. But if I was to pick one thing, I'd always go a nice watch.
Okay. Now this is a broad question, but you were telling me you're a bit of a funded trader.
Yeah.
I mean, for the people out there who are not familiar with what that is, can you tell us a little bit about your experience, your journey, and
So funded programs are pretty much programs where we actually live in an amazing time being a trader, because you can use such firms where you can pay a small fee, you sit through a test, you prove your trading style by hitting certain profit levels that they want you to hit. If you do pass these criteria and these tests, what they'll do is they'll give you a 100K account with certain limits. So there's certain daily limits you can hit, certain overall limits you can hit, and you get to keep, I think roughly now across all is 80% of the profits.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, the losses are not yours. So they take on the losses as long as you're in the positive. You can't obviously take any profits if you drop below your initial amount.
Gotcha. So it's pretty ruthless. There's a defined drawdown and a take profit for each level. Is that sort of how it works?
Yeah, correct. So I would say I wouldn't pick just being a funded trader over actually trading with a brokerage. So I do both because I see the pros and cons in both. Funded programs are just a way of, you could say, trying something with someone else's money, you could say. However, in saying that, you got to be a good trader to actually pass these funded accounts and these challenges.
Gotcha. I just don't want to. There was a question from Lewis. I was a bit scrappy on my hosting skills, but Lewis was just asking in relation to those charts there. What time frame do you use to take your entry?
I generally like the 5 minute.
Okay.
So the 5 minute time frame is something I really enjoy taking entries on.
It is exciting.
Yeah, I feel like you can really narrow down exactly where you want the price to go. You can watch the price action around that area and you can take it from there.
Okay. Now, do you, when you look at charts, just do you come in from a higher time frame to define a trend?
Definitely.
Okay.
Always, every single time. So I make it's pretty much a big rule that I tell everyone. It's always high to low time frames. And I always like to describe it in the same way, where if you're holding something really close to your face, you can make out little details, but you're not going to see the overall object. Whenever you're examining something, picture yourself at a museum, you're looking at a painting. You never start by sticking your face right in the painting. You always start from far away, work your way in. Same thing goes on the charts. You want to look at the charts from a distance, higher time frames, and work your way down.
I never heard that one. I like that one. We're learning a little bit more about you. You mentioned your girlfriend before. How did you guys meet?
So we met through a common friend. So I had a friend who knew her. and he knew me, and he pretty much saw that she was trading at the time, and he connected us, and we were just sharing charts, talking about trading, everything trading. And after a couple of months, I just pretty much asked her to go out to lunch, and yeah, it just all went from there.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a massive introvert.
Okay.
However, when it's time to be an extrovert, I can be one.
Come out of your shell.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you in your journey have a mentor, and what are your comments around this?
I didn't have a specific mentor as per se. What I did have is I met a couple of traders along the way who were trading massive capital, like I'm talking multi-million-dollar accounts, and I just sat with them. And I would say some of my biggest lessons in trading came from purely just sitting and watching these people and the way they trade. And I learned from the good and the bad. Okay. So by watching their mistakes, I was able to learn multi-million-dollar mistakes without actually spending a dollar myself. And I found these lessons to be so valuable in my journey, because there are things every trader needs to understand, that trading $1,000 is not the same as trading 10K, is not the same as trading 100K, is not the same as trading 1,000,000. Every level of trading has new, you could say, barriers and new challenges that you're going to come across. So I was lucky enough to learn the highest types of barriers and challenges that one could face in trading and apply them at the start of my journey.
Sounds like a good way to do it. Then people talk about matching your trading style to your personality or your skill set, which I think makes a lot of sense to me. You know, intraday traders who are super fast, good at scalping, good gamers, very dexterous and whatnot. How would you describe your style? And how do you think that matches up to? Would you agree with what I'm saying?
I do agree. 100% I agree.
Yeah.
My style is, I would say, scalping into intraday trading. I hate holding trades overnight. It's something I trialed when I was first starting off. I tried the whole swing trading, holding trades over, days to weeks. One thing I kind of understood from that is, if you're starting off with a small account, holding a trade for 2 weeks to make a couple $100 sometimes just doesn't work out to be worth it. Because if you divide what you're making per day, it doesn't add up. Where it made more sense to me to aim to make X amount per day rather than over weeks. So
I agree with that. I think even more so, you've got an advantage in being nimble and having short time frames. When you're trading against bigger players in the marketplace, they're going to be scaling in and out, and they sort of lose a bit of agility. So I would throw that in there as well.
And I agree with that, because that's where a lot of the big players coming in, you could say there's a lot of manipulation in the markets. That's why people get knocked out by big wicks. They come back. Whereas if you're in and out, one thing I like is I don't have to really worry about fundamentals. I don't care about the fundamentals, because I'm trading, you could say 10, 20 pips at a time. It doesn't really affect me what the fundamentals are doing. Yeah. And so in terms of personality, yeah, if you're a trader with millions of dollars in an account, you want to take one trade, hit 50 lots on a trade and just let it sit for a few weeks, you're running an extremely large stop loss. Yes, that might work extremely well for you. But for a guy trading a 1K, 10K account to do that, it's like I said, it might just not work out to be worth it in the end.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's a good segue. How do you manage risk? Are you someone who uses stop losses? Are you someone who sort of, it's mentally always there? Are they technical levels? What is your, because as we've learned from what you've said, it's when you do have a loss, it is a real psychological battle. Like, it is something that's difficult. You don't want to cut it because we're stubborn and, we think we're right. What do you do?
So I place a stop loss and I call it my final barrier. So it's a level, I always set a level where if the trade hits that zone, it completely invalidates everything I was trying to do. Yep. And I kind of, over the years, I've learned to accept that area. And that's something it's extremely hard. It's a lot hard, it's easier said than done. I always used to say, how hard is it to put a stop loss and just let it be and just let it hit the stop? It's not until people have real money on the line and they're seeing their money in negative, where we did a webinar on it with the 4 fears. And that was one of the fears, where it's the fear of losing money and the fear of being wrong. So it's something that you have to overcome as a human. Change your mentality, change your wiring of your mind. It's something I've done through a lot of, you could say, mindset training, mindset coaching. I got coached by mindset coaches that helped me to do that. And it's something that the day a trader really understands how powerful putting a stop loss and accepting it is the day they'll see a lot of success in their trading.
Oh, no, I completely agree. Are you doing the same thing on the profit side of things to keep that balance? Is there a point where you're like, that's it? Or
profits is I'm always running at least 3 profit levels.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in, it's not yours till you take it. So just every 10, 20 pips, take a partial of that trade. If 10, 20 pips, take another partial, because you can be up $10,000. The reality is it can reverse and it was never really yours.
Yeah, right. And do you ever run any trailing style stops?
No, that's something I just didn't like. As a personal trader, I didn't like it. Never really worked with me. I tried to do it. I always found myself getting knocked out when I just didn't enjoy it. Whereas now, because I'm trading such small kind of moves, it doesn't really need it.
Okay. I've got a few questions. So Amit's come in and said, what is the name of the volume indicator?
So if you just type in volume profile, it should come up with the volume profile.
Okay. Amit, I hope you got that. Volume profile is the name of that one. Lewis has also come back. How do you talk about losing streaks? He's like, what do you do? How do you get over that?
Yeah, so with losing streaks, I still have losing streaks up to this day. Any trader is going to have losing streaks. I don't care how many years you've been trading, how experienced you are, you're going to run through losing streaks. It's completely normal. What's different, however, for an experienced trader is how you actually deal with them.
Yeah.
As an experienced trader, are you going to run with these losing streaks? Are you going to start revenge trading right after it? Are you going to get angry because you took a few losses and start making irrational decisions? These are all things that when you gain that experience in the markets, you will stop doing. You will understand the true definition of probability, and you'll know that sooner or later your winning streak is going to come back. And what it comes down to is truly believing in the strategy of yours. So for someone like myself, I completely believe in my strategy. It's something that I have full faith in, where if I take a losing streak, whether it's 2 or 3 trades, I know at some point I'm going to have my 70% of winners. And it's something I run through with my group. They're seeing the trades I take, because I share them with the team. So they're seeing that even when we have losers, they don't doubt that either. They don't doubt that the winners are coming, because it's 70% of the time. No one's going to have 100% success rate in trading. So if you're someone who's a perfectionist, I always say it's something you need to leave outside of trading, because it's just not going to work.
Okay, that's good. So this is a good point too. How do you, I'm sure a lot of people are asking there, how do you analyze the market? Is it a repetitious process you can go through over and over? Just talk to that point for a little bit.
Yes. So analyzing the market is something that's very repetitious. As a beginner, you're going to find yourself spending hours upon hours on the charts, looking at what the market's doing, trying to understand that. The more experience you get, I can glance over a chart in a matter of 5 minutes and understand what it's going to do. So that's where experience comes in. So I usually start on Sunday or Monday by breaking down the complete week before and looking at the week to come, what it can potentially do, where I'm looking at the higher time frames, direction, where I think it might go, etc. Then what I look for is day-to-day perspective. So then I start looking. I'm a London session trader, so I jump on the charts around 4 or 5. I start analyzing pre-London. I start marking out what's going to happen, That's another thing, is session and session timings are extremely crucial in trading. Start understanding how the market behaves during Asia, London, and New York, and it's going to benefit you, massive benefit if you can truly understand the way the market behaves during different sessions.
I mean, what do you mean by that? Obviously, not going into too much detail, but do you notice continuations when there's a strong event or a strong technical event? What is it that you notice?
So I look for Asia session is usually the quietest session of the day. For those who don't know, we have 3 sessions: Asia, European, and North American. Asia is usually the slowest of the day. London's usually the most volume in the day, and along with the North American or New York session. So what I notice is Asia's usually, because it's the quietest, it can be the most ranging. However, this depends on the pair you trade. So I trade the pound USD. Neither of those currencies are Asian pairs. So what that tends to do is during Asia, you might see a lot of the market is just behaving really quietly, not doing much. When London kicks in, I like to start seeing the behavior along where if we've gone one way during Asia, we can get a completely different way during London. And then
would that give you a stronger conviction as to the direction for that period? Do you find it trends for?
Yes, correct. So that is what I use it for. However, obviously there's many more confluences that are put in together to kind of come out with my bias for that day. But that's definitely one of the things that plays a major role in direction and what I'm trying to do.
Okay, cool. Listen, I can see a couple of trend lines on your charts. Are they drawn from higher time frames? What are you sort of looking at? Are you a trend line guy? Volume profile?
Trend lines I don't really like. What I do use them for is I like to see them actually break. So where a trader normally likes to look at a trend line, so this is a 1 hour trend line, and they perhaps saw this as a bounce of the trend line. Whereas someone like myself, I'm seeing the shorts to break the trend line. Start understanding one piece of advice I can give new traders is start understanding where the majority of people are putting their stop losses. So to me, the majority of people are putting their stop losses around this area right here, because all the people that bought from the trend line are running buys with stop losses right below.
Makes sense.
Start understanding where those stop losses are and target towards those stop losses, because what happens the majority of the time is you'll find the market come down, take out all these orders, because that's what they are. Stop losses are orders. And that was another webinar that we've done together for those listening that haven't watched it, which was about liquidity and volume. So if you can kind of piece what I'm talking about now and piece from the other webinar, you can come out with some great information that can help you.
Yeah, let us know, anyone, if you'd like. We can send through a link to a copy of that webinar as well.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a scenario that I look for, and I'm looking at liquidity lying below, and that's purely the stop losses of other traders.
So my question would be there, and sorry to put you on the spot, but you risk reward at that point when you've broken a trend line, not looking at any other support or resistance, you've got quite a huge risk if you're buying, because there is no lower reference point if we're taking everything out. How do you deal with that?
If I'm buying from here?
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why I don't buy or sell off trend lines, purely for that reason. So I let that trade play out from that point. And then I was actually looking at a nice reversal signal in order to short. So for those of watching that can see, so when the market came here, I saw this trying to grab to the upside. I then saw an engulfing bearish candle. That was my sign right there. That was telling me that the bears were much stronger than the bulls. And that's what led me into the sell.
Right. And that's the hour time frame. So you would have looked for a 5-minute entry after that.
So if you go down to, let's say, the 5, I'm just looking at the nice push down here. Then the market came and did this other big bullish candle, which would have drove a lot of people to believe we're going up. And then as soon as we got that red candle there, that was kind of my signal that this doesn't want to move to the upside.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, we're about half an hour, but I think I've got time for a few more questions because everyone still seems engaged. So what's the ultimate bling for you? Is there a watch or a car on the horizon that you want to get, or?
I'm always, there's watches that I'm always getting. There's a Rolex day date that I have my eye on that I do want to get. And if I do get the good price for it, I'll probably end up selling it because I'm just a sucker for selling for profit, especially being a trader. Whenever I see profit, whenever I see that blue in my MT4, I just want to take it. However, if I don't find the good price for it, I'll probably end up keeping it. And it's one that I do want.
Okay, cool. All right, listen, I've been lucky enough to sit through a couple of your classes. I think your stuff is fantastic. I'm also on your signal, and I see how a lot of these trades play out, and how you tell it how it is, good with the bad. I love your little giphy animations when it goes your way. Always puts a smile on my face. How would you, just to close this out, how would you describe your teaching style?
My teaching style, I would say, would depend on who I'm teaching in terms of their level of experience. If I'm teaching a complete beginner, I'm running through all the basics. So I am teaching them things like trend lines.
Yeah.
Because a trader needs to actually, what a trend line is good for is to visualize the trends on a chart. In terms of taking a trade, I'm not using them to take trades. And that's something that I do teach them, but I tell them that you need these things in order to start visualizing the bigger picture. So if I'm talking to an advanced trader, my trading style would be, I'm teaching them the advanced topics. So I'm teaching liquidity, volume. I'm teaching them about things like session timings, and I'm teaching them how to be an awesome, you could say, scalper to intraday trader.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone's been pretty patient. That was a really enjoyable session. If there are any questions, now is the time. Better be quick on the keyboards, because we will wrap this up. Try and keep it at just a little bit over half an hour. But Philip, it's always great speaking to you. We have a great resource of webinars that we've done together. If anyone does want to learn more, we're happy to share those with everyone, and really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me. If there's any questions by anyone in regards to trading or anything that I spoke about, please feel free to reach out. Or if you want to just leave a question right now, I'm happy to even answer it. Otherwise, thanks for having me on here.
Sorry, we've got one last question. So volume profile is paid, question mark.
It's you just can't have the free version of TradingView. So you need to have at least one of the versions, but it's free as an indicator. Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So you have to pay the $9 subscription or what it is a month.
Yeah. So you just need a subscription to TradingView.
Yeah.
Which I believe you need because it cuts out all the ads on TradingView and it makes your trading and your analyzing the charts much better as an experience. You don't want ads popping out every minute.
Yeah, that is very frustrating, and I highly recommend getting a paid package. So I hope we answered your question there. All right, guys, thanks very much. Great session. We'll send the recording around if you want to review anything we talked about. And thanks again, Philip. I don't know whether that trade looks like it's going in your direction, but definitely looks like it's going lower.
It is. Yeah.
There we go.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye.